Today on the Kite Bag Tour, it's time for some loners. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse. This is Skyrider Limited, and we are back with a Kite Bag Tour. It's been forever since we've done one of these. I've got kites to share. You're gonna get a whole bunch of these, but this one's first, partially because I've got to. I've got a whole bunch of kites on loan from friends, and I have to return them, obviously. So it's time to go through them real quick. We're gonna jump through some really interesting stuff here. A lot of it you'll have already seen fly on the channel, but we're gonna get into the details today. Some of it's new, some of it's old, some of it's unobtainium. Um, it's gonna be fun. I've got cool stuff. So big shout out, big thank you right off the top to Devin and Doug, who lent me some of their toys so I could share them with all of you, and also so I could fly them, because obviously, so I could fly them. So sit tight. We're gonna dive right in. I think we will start with something kind of close to home. So what we have here is a pair of Tantrums. These are by Shawn Tinkham, Viper Sport Kites. This is the baby brother to the Viper. And it's a freestyle animal by comparison. And it is fun. I actually hadn't flown one prior to getting these. So I flew this one. These one Doug Coates, really good friend. You may recall Doug gifted me some stuff late last year. So he lent these to me to play with. I flew this one while we were at Newport, and then he sent me home with the pair to play with some more, and I got to spend a good hour with this one down here the other day. Standard up top, UL down here. The sales are numbered 15 and 3. All Sky Shark frame. I think by the feel of them, I have to go digging through the internet to pin this down. So check the description. I will clear this up. I'm pretty sure this is 300 and 200. They're 5PT and 3PT spreaders, and because of the age, they are true clear coated black diamond, which is nice to see. A couple other small differences. We got a turbo bridle and a 3-point here. Otherwise, they are remarkably well balanced as a standard in UL. Even though the different bridles and everything, they feel very, very similar, very familiar. Shawn did a great job. Kind of interesting note too. They're pretty burly. All seat, heavy duty webbing and seatbelt for the wear patch, and nylon. Shawn was, you might remember from the Venom, big fan of ripstop nylon, not poly. He liked the way it managed speed control and things like that. So both of these, even the UL, is nylon. And they're really smooth. Bumpy wind does not phase this little guy. For a smaller kite, it is really, really smooth and predictable. It never feels like it's getting wild and out of control. Everything's really fluid. It's really nice to fly. And the applique sort of offshoot of the Viper head from the Viper is really cool. Just a great graphic. Shawn's applique works really nice. It's all very tight stitch. Yeah, what a fun kite. I need to find a set of these for my own collection at some point for sure. It's interesting too because these are pretty early kites. Actually, if you go digging around the internet and you find the Viper Sport Kites YouTube channel, Shawn did have some videos out there. You will find this kite in the Tantrum video. This is the kite from the video, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I was blown away. I mean, not shocked. Shawn was really good as a kite flyer, competitor, and designer. So I'm not shocked at all, but I hadn't flown a ton of his stuff until more recent years, and I kind of started in at the Vendetta, and then Doug gave me that Venom, which I adore. Um, I still have only maybe flown a Viper like twice, and it was when Shawn was making them. And I confess that I might not have been a good enough pilot to appreciate them at the time. Um, but I'll tell you what, I appreciate these things now. Shawn did some really incredible work here. And given how few of the kites are out there, I don't think he made a ton of kites. They're around. They were around, but I don't think that he's as well known as he probably should be. He did some really great work and some really great kites, and these have been a lot of fun to play with. And it's just everything's really well put together, really cleanly done. The protected leading edge, soft yo-yo blocks. I like the APA as a yo-yo block because it's sticks up like the R Sky hard stop, but it's soft and it's not going to damage a sail. Just everything really well thought out. So yeah, the tantrums. And now we're hopping the pond. We're heading over to Greece. This is a Lumo Kites Vega. Antonis over in Greece builds these. He's been building kites for quite some time. This is an interesting deal. There are quite a lot of different setups for this kite. I guess so. First of all, this and the next two kites are on loan from Devin from Canvas. Really appreciate him constantly offering to send me weird stuff to share with all of you. I would hardly call this weird. This thing is probably one of the social media darlings in terms of freestyle kites. The first thing that shocked me when I finally saw one in person is how big it actually is. Big long spine, big wingspan. This is much larger than what you would expect a freestyle kite to be, and certainly how nimble it looks in all the video that shows up from over there. It's got a lot of adjustment. I touched absolutely nothing. This one is set up in a 3-point, but you can see there's a couple of different positions there for that. For where those the in-haul up-haul meet, there is adjustment on the out-haul, adjustment on the in-haul, and AOA knots up top. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. There's extra holes here for standoff positioning. I gather that there are 2 and 4 standoff versions from a little bit of information I picked up from Antonis. And also, the in-hauls themselves can meet the spine at a couple of different locations. This one is framed in a combination frame of Aerostuff Spreaders and Sky Shark. I had been calling that a hybrid because that's usually what we call a mixed frame, at least around the US we do. That's a hybrid frame if it's a mix of Sky Shark and Aerostuff. I have since learned that the Vega hybrid is a different setup. It's an interesting kite. It was a lot of fun. It likes to connect. It likes to connect better than I am at connecting things. But it is really fluid, and when you find the timing, it just flows. The workmanship is incredible. His follow of all his panels is just spot on. All the stitching meets right at the corner of all the panels. Like, it's a very, very impressive level of detail and work that he puts into these kites. And I mean, kind of have to say I'm not shocked. The what he shares of his build processes on social media, he is meticulous, and it shows. It's a cool kite. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I finally got to meet one because there aren't too many of them around the U.S. And yeah, I enjoyed playing with it. It likes to rotate. It likes Taz combos and like lazy combos and things like that. Really, really nice kite to do some of that rotational stuff with. I also really like the colorway on this one. Most of you know that I tend to skew towards red a lot more often than not in my stuff. And primarily bright colors. This is a very European colorway with the color accent on a very mono kite, but it works really, really well on his sail graphic. It has a lot of impact, particularly when the kite's in motion. Um, yeah, the Vega. Staying in Europe, we're heading up to France now. This is the Flamingo by, and I'm going to attempt this, and I apologize if I butcher this, Drôle d'oiseau, which Google Translate informs me is funny bird. Um, and it is a funny bird. It's an interesting shape. It's got a very short tail by current standards. It's fun to play with, I have to say. It's got a very different feel from a lot of the newer stuff, but enjoyable. Tricky. Took me a bit to sort of figure out its game for sure, but pleasant. If a little vexing at times. All five PTs. Spreaders and leading edge. I don't remember what the spine is. Hold please. We have just says 400 on here. I'm guessing it's some kind of arrow shaft, not a Sky Shark P400. That would be a pretty beefy spine for a 5 PT kite. Yeah, also some interesting stuff here on the 3-point bridle. So they tie a 3-point bridle to a very short pigtail and then a separate leader, which is kind of a nice refinement from a like wear and replacement point of view. You're not wearing out your whole bridle. Having replaced like the uphauls or one of the legs along with the leader. So if you need to replace a leader, you can just replace the leader, which is nice. Another detail I really like, I would love to know where they're finding these donuts they're using for the stops. They're really cool. They're not cut end caps. Very nice, and I also appreciate the color coordinated zip tie touch. This one's another one on loan from Devon. Yeah, this is a brand that doesn't get a lot of attention over here. And it really should. They're building a lot of really, really cool kites. There's a whole catalog there that we don't see a lot of in the U.S. They're really well put together, really well thought out, unique. I mean, that's what I want, like, in my kite bag these days, is stuff that's different. I don't love, finding effectively the same kite over and over again, and I try to sort of curate my bag so that everything's got its own personality, albeit my bag gets a bit stuffed these days, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So the Flamingo here. It's a funny thing. It's a kite I've sort of had my eye on for a while, and then so the three that I've got a loan from Devon, he lent me while when we met up at the Lion Township Festival, and he was like, "Oh, I have a Flamingo." I was like, "Dope! I really want to fly that," and I'm really really happy he had it because, like I said, it's an odd thing, and it took me a bit to sort of come to terms with, but it was fun. Flippy. We do like that, don't we? Um, cool. I've got one more for you, and this one is probably the one I was the most curious about and the most excited about of the three Devon lent me, and it so didn't disappoint. So sit tight. I'm gonna go grab that, and we'll bring this thing home. I don't think it's terribly a secret that I have really enjoyed all of the kites from Richard Debray's Windar kites in France, and this one is indeed no exception. Meet the Optimist. I was excited about this one from pretty much the first time Richard started posting about it. It is, in a sense, though this is a gross oversimplification, a budget-friendly answer to the Ultims. It is billed. He lists it as an intermediate to professional kite. It's very interesting. I have to say, it's one of the most relaxing sport kites I've flown in a very long time. It is really easy to just find your sort of peace of mind and fly this thing. Um, it's framed in mystics, which are the same straight tube you find in a gin, which is kind of interesting. Um, it's got helical active standoffs, and no tail weight, and no yo-yo blocks. I did a double. I didn't realize there were no yo-yo stops on it. I actually did a little bit of double take on that. I none of the ones in any of the pictures have yo-yo stops. I don't know why I was surprised, but I totally didn't realize it didn't have yo-yo stops until I got a look at this one. And oh no, it can't roll up. Whatever will we do? We'll have fun with all the other cool stuff it can do because it does all the other cool stuff. Took a minute to get used to flying something without a tail weight again, and I mean like maybe a minute, and then I was fine with it. It really, really teaches you to listen to the kite on the lines and feel. If you want it to pitch, you have to make it pitch. There's no helpers. 3-point bridle, just simple, dialed, smooth. Um, Again, this is another one of those. I don't know why I'm surprised that Richard made a great kite because everything he does is pretty awesome. I haven't flown one that I didn't like, but this is a standout among sport kites right now, and it's a kite everyone should probably think about having in their bag. Really, really should. It's that good. It was refreshing to fly something that was this simple and enjoyable and fluid. There's lots of kites I enjoy. There's very few that I've taken out of a bag, put on a set of lines, and just went, "Oh, oh, I get this." Um, and this is one of those. The Mystics are nice. It's an inexpensive kite to keep flying in that sense. While the Ultims are on offer in Sky Shark, in the standard, the UL is all Aerostuff blue. The vents have Aerostuff spreaders. Like they're serious hardware that come with serious budget. This is approachable and still incredibly capable, and those don't always go together, but this time they really do. And most importantly, it's fun, and I can't emphasize that enough. That's so like 15 years ago there were kite designers just pumping out kites like it was something new like every other week, and a lot of them were um shall we call them somewhat like misunderstood in their day because they were coming out so fast people weren't giving them time. And now you go back and fly some of those and they're fun, but at the time they were just something you moved on from until you found something that was easier. We don't have as many kites coming out right now, and they tend to be very specialized to the designer's preferences. Not always, but I would say a lot of them have quite a heavy fingerprint from their parent on them. Not that this doesn't have Richard's fingerprints all over it, but it is done in such a way that I don't think it matters what your flying style is. You will connect with something in this kite, and that's rare. That I truly liked about it. I'm gushing a little, but I really liked this kite, and I may or may not have threatened to, not to give it back to Devin. Um, he's lucky that orange isn't my color. um, so yeah, that's the loners I've been flying for the last little stretch here. It's good to be back doing one of these. We haven't done a kite bag tour for a minute. And fear not, I have other stuff to share with you all. And that is coming up soon on another episode of the Kite Bag Tour. But until then, thank you all, as always, for liking, following, subscribing, and sharing. And we will see you out there, Skyrider.